Here's a little bit about what we're going to do in Earth Science this year, and I think it's pretty awesome, and hopefully you will too. So, Earth Science, the science of Earth. So we've got three main topics. We've got geology, we have astronomy, and we have meteorology. So in geology, we start off with minerals, because minerals make up rocks, and rocks make up the Earth, and we go from there. So here's some pictures of minerals. In particular, I like this little molecular diagram here because we're going to talk about the internal arrangement of atoms and how that makes up why minerals are like they are. And then we'll talk about volcanoes and igneous rocks. Igneous like ignite, and depending on how they cool, they get different crystal sizes. And then we'll move on to weathering and erosion and deposition, where stuff gets broken down and carried away and washed away and then dropped off and made into sedimentary rocks. And so these are the rocks that we find fossils in, and usually sedimentary rocks some of them have layers. Then that takes us to plate tectonics, where we'll talk about how the Earth's crust is broken up into different plates, and they move around, and we're not where we used to be. Hilton used to be on the equator. South of the equator used to be very, very hot. And those plates moving around make earthquakes, so that shakes things up. And here's a picture of some cool train tracks that got bent by earthquakes. The poor sheep. And then that's going to take us to metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks are changed rocks, so they show a lot of times they'll show this banding here. This shows a high amount of heat and pressure. And then we're on to almost the end of geology, and this is probably like February-ish, and we're going to talk about geologic history. So we'll talk about fossils and figuring out what came first, second, third, and figuring out how old things are in millions or billions of years by using radioactive dating. And then we're on to astronomy, and so really our first half of the year, a little bit more, is the geology part. Astronomy, talk about stars, everything from like the Big Bang, from where the universe began, down to galaxies, and then down to solar systems. And we'll talk about our solar system in particular, and then zoom in on Earth and our moon and talk about seasons and moon phases and tides, and bring in a little bit of climates at this point. And then to wrap up the year, we have our meteorology unit. So we'll talk about cold fronts and warm fronts, and why it's wintertime sometimes, which gets back into climate, and why it's summer. And we'll talk about hurricanes. Here's a cool picture of a hurricane from space. And we'll also talk about tornadoes and what to do during all different types of severe events on Earth. So that's about it. I think you're going to love Earth Science, and I'm happy to have you. Peace.